DreamWorks' Orion in the Dark. Now, this is a movie I really barely knew about. It kind of just popped out of nowhere that it was in development at Netflix. This is based off of a book, and it was just coming. This is a DreamWorks movie that it looked like it should have been theaters, but with the recent DreamWorks originals, not originals, but sometimes they're films that DreamWorks just doesn't have that much faith in, and I guess this is one of those movies, and I guess they had to deal with Netflix to drop it here. So I was like, okay, they must not have faith in the movie, but it looks decent, so, I gave it a watch, and after giving it a watch, wow. DreamWorks really had me going with this movie. The movie just started off as like the most bland movie ever, and then after that, my entire perspective on the movie changed after that. Now, first of all, I say that the animation on this movie is pretty decent for having a Netflix budget. And after watching the movie, I'd say, this movie should have been put in theaters. Honestly, there's nothing really releasing this week in theaters that would have been competition if it did. The character designs pretty much match the book and are pretty nice. And DreamWorks has never failed making book adaptations. And this is certainly one of them, and they just keep going on that track record. We have Captain Underpants, we have The Bad Guys, we have so many other movies, and an upcoming one. The Dogman movie comes out in 2025. I'll have a video talking about that soon, but DreamWorks just never fails. They can make a movie about the most obscure book and still make it great. This movie can have people choked up by the end. This movie tackles a lot of fears that a lot of little kids and sometimes even teenagers face, and they go head first into that. And I wasn't really expecting them to go much into that territory. It was just like, oh, you got a fear of spiders? And get over it. They really just went deep into it. And every time when I was watching this movie, why was this not in theaters? Why am I watching this on a teeny tiny screen right now? But moving on, the world that it brought together it's pretty nice. I mean, obviously you have the dark, it's kind of like Inside Out, but with like the fears of the dark. It's kind of weird. Now that I'm like thinking about it and comparing the two, it's kind of like that. But it's really hard to say a lot that happens in the movie without giving many spoilers. I can say how it starts. We meet Orion, we kind of just see his daily life. He's basically afraid of almost everything. He's got this crush that he wants to go on the field trip with, but he's too scared to do the field trip entirely. And then one night when he's going to sleep, Dark appears out of nowhere and takes him on this journey to overcome his fears. And by doing this, we meet these entities. And I said it's kind of like Inside Out, but after watching the movie, I really got to like these characters. They all have their unique personalities, they all have pretty cool designs, and are based of like different scenarios in sleeping. You got the sleep dreams, you got the insomniacs, you got the quietness, and it kind of it's nice. It's kind of cool, and just one thing I noticed in this movie was the movie actually kind of throws you off. You're so used to how the typical storyline of mostly almost every animated movie you see kind of goes, and you forget that this is a story. And it immediately, out of nowhere in the movie, goes to Orion and his daughter to like 20 years later in the future. It was so out of nowhere, and it kind of throws the story beats of how typical animated stories kind of go. Then it's just like anything can happen in the story, and it changes and it evolves, and I'm not gonna give away everything, but you're not going to expect the ending of the movie specifically. Yes, it has that climax, but the third act will go, wait, what? This wasn't supposed to happen. I thought this was going to happen. And I give props for DreamWorks for actually doing that. It gets people guessing, and hey, I was actually kind of invested in that. And DreamWorks' style of writing still comes back here, because I was still getting some chuckles, and the characters are not afraid to use Language, not crazy language, but language to the point where, it's not, it doesn't try to baby you. It's kind of the same scenario with Trolls Band Together. It's still, a fun movie, but people, older audiences, can enjoy it. And that's what DreamWorks has been doing aside from Disney. They've still been kidding you, and DreamWorks has been just upping the game with that. And like I said, DreamWorks just seems to cook with like every movie that's based off of a book, and it just keeps going so hard. And this is no different. And I'd say this is a great way to start off the 25th anniversary of DreamWorks. The voice talent is great, the animation is great, and our main character, Orion, is actually voiced by the same guy that voiced Luca in Luca. And I kind of picked up on it until like the middle point of the movie. I just got a little curious, and yeah, that's the same voice. Character designs are great. Story, I mean, at first the animation style kind of threw me off. The character designs didn't look really that cool, but eventually I got used to it, and then the night entities were just as cool. But DreamWorks cooked on this movie, and I think that, moving forward, I think DreamWorks is gonna do pretty well. We have Kung Fu Panda 4 coming up. We have The Wild Robot, which has some great talent behind it. And then, wait, what's that? They're making a Megamind sequel. Oh, not. Oh no, what is this? Well, I think I know what I'm talking about next week.